What do you like so much about Korea that you want to continue to stay here? Do you ever see yourself living in Korea long term?
No.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So today I'm here in Sinchon in Seoul, and the topic is foreigners who want to live in Korea long term versus foreigners who only want to stay here short term, then go back to their country. I'm curious to see the difference between why someone wants to live here long term, why do they want to get a house, maybe get married, settle down, versus someone who's like, all right, a few months, that's enough. So today we're going to talk to some people. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. All right, without further ado, let's begin. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
From America.
Cool. Can I ask where in America?
Sure, Missouri.
How long have you been in Korea?
I've been here close to a year now. I came in 2023 in February. So yeah, it was just about a year.
Yeah, just about a year. And you're a student, right?
Yeah, I go to school at Yonsei up the street.
Nice. How's your experience in Korea been so far? Honestly.
I was a professional gamer before I had come to Korea, so I had lived with Koreans for, I want to say maybe 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. So I was already kind of really used to
Korean culture.
Yeah, Korean culture. So the transition, I think, wasn't really as hard for me as it was for some other foreigners. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but there definitely are some things that are like way, way different as opposed to America here. These days, smoking really isn't a big thing in America anymore. Like when I was young, like 5, 6, everybody still smoked. Nowadays, it's mostly kind of e-cigarettes and stuff like that, and vapes and all that kind of stuff. But the disposable ones. But here in Korea, people still smoke, and like you'll see it everywhere and smell it everywhere. And so that was kind of jarring a little bit. I haven't smelled cigarette smoke consistently probably since I was about 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that. So
I gotta say though, you're a gamer.
Yeah.
So you're going to the PC bang, right?
Oh, tamta, of course, tamta.
And that's where you're maybe smelling a lot of this smoke.
Yeah, of course. Well, even just outside too.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, when I lived with my Korean teammates, they were really big in the tamta. So, I was kind of used to it at that point. But, it kind of just is what it is.
time?
Yeah.
tamta?
tamta? 안 들어봤어?
안 들어봤어요. 네.
Okay.
Oh, you speak Korean really well. 잘하시네요.
Yeah, I when you live with people that speak a different language for 5 years, you kind of pick it up pretty quickly. So
안 들어봤어.
I should have used 존댓말. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
I apologize.
You hung out with a lot of gamers, I guess, in the U.S. What game was that?
Overwatch.
Been here for a year now. You're at Yonsei. Do you want to stay here long term, like a while longer, or maybe just a bit longer and then you're back to the U.S.?
I'm gonna stay here for probably about another year. It's hard being a foreigner in a country that's not your own. If it were up to me, I would stay in Korea longer, but just staying from a pure kind of headache and paperwork standpoint, I hate doing anything.
Visas and stuff.
Visas, anything adult related like that, I just hate doing. It's really annoying to me. So just kind of dealing with that process has been sort of a headache up until this point. And I don't know. For me, there's as a foreigner, there's not a lot of vertical movement you can do as far as a career goes in Korea. There's more options for me back home. So I'm gonna stay here and kind of round out my Korean, and then when that's complete, or at least to an acceptable level,
Pronunciation sounds pretty good.
No, thank you very much. At least until it's a bit better, and then I can actually put it on a job, resume or something like that. It's I can use that as some sort of skill. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Level up the Korean.
Right, exactly.
Get that to max level.
Exactly.
And then go back.
Exactly.
You have that as a skill you can whip out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
What are you studying right now? What's your industry? I'm curious.
No particular industry. I'm actually at the Wakdang, so I'm literally studying.
Oh, that's
Korean.
why you speak Korean so well.
Yeah.
I hung out with Koreans in the U.S. and then you wanted to study more here.
Yeah, I guess in Korea, for example, even to do any sort of normal job, a low entry job, you kind of need a document or a certificate showing that you can do that. I saw the other day on the back of a forklift, for example, the guy had basically a license or a thing that said you can drive this forklift. And even for people who cut hair, you'll see in their shop they'll have I'm a certified hair cutter basically. And Korea is still, you need schooling for a lot of stuff. A lot of people still seek higher education here, whereas in America these days you can do a lot without a college education. And so for me, it wasn't really a thing because right after high school, I went in and did the pro gaming stuff, and I don't really have an interest to kind of do the whole college thing, but I know I can get a good job just with experience-based stuff and skills that I've learned on my own. Whereas in Korea, that sort of vertical movement isn't really possible.
Sure. So you're feeling like in order to even get your foot in the door,
Right.
you got to have 2-3 types of certifications,
Right,
schooling,
right.
this degree, that degree. Whereas
Exactly.
in the U.S., it's like, cool, you don't have a degree, but you built this on your own. You
Right,
built
right,
this
right.
website. You built this,
Right.
programming project, and it
Right.
looks really good.
Right.
That's kind of what you're saying. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
So I'm in the process of like kind of teaching myself how to code and stuff like that, and that's such a useful skill these days. So I can kind of leverage that to my advantage at a job in America, but it's just not really super possible here, I don't think, especially as a foreigner.
You seem like a really smart guy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody who knows tamta
Yeah.
is smart.
Thank you.
No.
You.
No, you'll be just fine, man. I totally get what you're saying, and I can talk with you about this for hours, but I'll stop torturing you, and
Sure. Okay.
see you later. Bye-bye. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Hong Kong.
Cool. Don't be shy.
Okay.
So, are you living in Korea or you're just visiting here?
Now I'm just visiting with my friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time, or have you been here?
Oh, it's like a lot of time.
Yeah. You keep coming back.
Yeah, I do.
Why is that?
I just love the food and like I love shopping here.
Yeah.
Very convenient, so I always come back with my friends or like my family.
You come to Korea a lot. You
Yeah.
like Korea. You like being here.
Yeah.
Would you want to live here like a long time or more of a short time, or what's your opinion?
I would prefer like a short time
Okay.
because I actually love Korea so much, but the thing is that we have different culture and like we have different values at some points. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes they can be so judgy for your appearance,
Sure.
but in Hong Kong the biggest different thing is like we don't really judge people by their appearance because we only have like really simple clothing style.
Yeah.
But here is like they have really good makeup skills and like they even dress up for like maybe just grabbing food downstairs or something.
Yeah.
But we don't do that, so
Yeah.
we're not really used to it. So I prefer like a short time. I think it would be good, but not for like a really long time here.
You think it would be too stressful?
Yeah, I do think that it's gonna be so stressful because I don't really do a lot of makeup if I'm just gonna do like maybe like grab food or like meeting some of my friends. I don't usually put on like fully makeup.
Yeah.
But here's like sometimes if you don't put on makeup when you meet your friends, it's kind of like disrespectful, like from their point of view.
Do you feel that? Have you heard that? Are you guessing
Oh,
that?
I do heard that because
You
I
hear
have a Korean teacher. Like we have lessons online, so she would share like what do Korean people think about this. So I kind of like know it from my teacher.
So will you be back to Korea in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Great place to visit. You're not sure about living though.
Yeah.
Ah,
That's so true. Yeah.
Thank you so much. See you later. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Germany.
Are you living in Korea currently?
I stay here for half a year. I'm at the university here at the Yonsei University. I'm at the Korean language program.
Great, amazing. And what made you want to come to Korea and learn that?
I'm doing martial art for many years.
Yeah.
I'm studying Sunmudo, is a temple martial art from Korea, and I wanted to talk with my teachers, my masters in their language.
Great. What a unique individual you are. That's so interesting. That's so cool. Do you ever see yourself living in Korea long term?
No,
No.
No.
Is there a reason why?
I like Korea very much.
Yes.
But I think on a daily basis, the people here live under a high pressure and everything is going quickly, bali. I think the use of their mobile phones and all this stuff, it's too excessive. If you look around, you see nearly everyone staring always into their handies and their mobile phones.
Don't you think in Germany, and at least where I'm from in the US, the young people are doing the same thing, or you think it's more here?
As I see it compared to Europe, it's much more.
Yeah.
And everything you do with your mobile phone, so you pay, everything is under supervision. This is not the way I like to live forever. I really like to come here. The people are very friendly and they like to help. They're open and to share, but I am happy to be a European.
Okay. So maybe you like more privacy, more using cash instead of using your phone for everything. Is that what you're saying?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Too much government surveillance, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
that's not an issue in Germany where you're living?
Oh, I think in Germany nowadays cash is coming more and more back.
Really?
Yes. They have
Interesting.
they have countries like Sweden or other countries, they're nearly free of cash, but I think, as I see it, there's a tendency to return.
Return to the traditional
Yes.
way.
Let's say like this, I think it's a return to be more personal.
Okay.
If you go to a restaurant, you order at a machine, and I really prefer to talk to a person. I think it's more human.
Yeah.
It's more human and more slowing down.
Yeah.
Everything is going quicker and faster, and so you can't go to a place without make an appointment via your mobile phone. I prefer to talk to persons.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
No, it's your opinion, and I think probably a lot of people agree with you. I like a mix, but you're making me think now, like, yeah, I agree. Sometimes it is nice to like have that more human connection. Okay, so for these reasons, you probably wouldn't want to live in Korea like long term. It's just better a place to visit your temple teachers and peers in your martial art world.
And you see, it's also a question of your cultural background.
Okay.
You feel where you come from. I'm European.
Yeah.
So
It's nothing bad about Korea.
No,
It's just
no.
that you're more
No.
comfortable in your environment.
Nothing that this is better or
Sure,
worse,
sure.
but I feel more familiar. I feel more
Yeah.
familiar, and also the way of life is different. The values are different.
Yeah. Were you fighting a super villain and perhaps your arm got injured? Or
it
you
is
were
like-
trying to stop a robber?
No.
No?
It's not that interesting. It's just I could pretend. No, it's just I hurt myself doing training. That's all.
Totally get it.
Normally.
Normally.
It happens.
Anyway, I hope you heal. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Korea, and I hope you learn a lot of great Korean. 한국말 잘하시겠네요.
My Hangul is not that good until now.
Okay.
It's just the first semester. I mean.
All right, no worries. Bye. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
Yeah, it's going great. I'm from Russia, Moscow.
Pretty cold winter in Korea, but I guess for you, I'm curious, has it been cold as well for you?
There is no snow, so it's not so bad. But there was some days when it was really cold.
Yeah, even for you.
Yeah, it was minus 15 here,
Yeah.
and it was cold.
So how long have you lived in Korea?
Right now it's 9 months. 9 months already.
And you're studying Korean?
Yeah.
한국말 잘하시겠네요.
아니요, 잘못했어요.
Do you want to stay here more long term or short term?
I want to stay here longer because I want to have my bachelor here. Yeah, so for a few years more, maybe 4 or 5 years more, and if I will have a job here, so I will stay even more longer.
Ah, very cool.
I don't want to move right now.
So you like living in Korea, right?
Yeah.
What do you like so much about Korea that you want to continue to stay here?
I like culture here, and I like the rhythm of the life, the lifestyle.
Yeah, rhythm.
Yeah, it's like they're like so they like to study, they like to work hard, they like active type of life.
Yeah.
I like it more than Russians.
More exciting.
Yeah, it's more exciting than Moscow, and it's like kind of more safe now.
Moscow. Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
You have a lot of foreigner friends here, or you have more Korean friends here?
I guess pan, like
Pan.
yeah. I have a lot of Russian friends and a lot of foreigner friends from the language school, but I have a lot of Korean friends too.
For your Russian friends, your foreign friends, do they want to live here a long time, or do they want to kind of finish class, finish school, and then get out of here, go back?
I guess Russian friends wants to stay here longer.
Yeah.
They're kinda older than me, so they want to get married here.
Yeah.
But some Chinese and Japanese guys want to stay 1 term or 2 terms and go back home.
Do you know why?
I guess because it's like close for them, and this is more like a gap year, a gap months here. It's not like opportunity to study here.
That's a good point.
European guys, American guys, and Russian guys are like more or less planning to stay here longer.
And could you see yourself like getting married, having a family here, or no? Too far in the future.
I don't know. I'm 19 right now, so it's maybe too early to think about that stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm Liberty and I'm just from outside London.
Cool. Are you living in Korea or are you just visiting here? What's your situation?
No, I'm actually visiting with friends.
Yeah.
We're here for 10 days and I thought I've never thought to come to Korea and it's been the most amazing experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You never thought to come to Korea? So like the popular destinations are like maybe Spain or other places?
Ibiza, that Miami, that kind of party vibe, and actually the nightlife here is amazing, but there's also so much to see as well.
Yeah. Interesting. So this isn't like the most popular tourist destination, but
No.
now that you've come, you're like,
Yes,
I'm really a fan.
It's a must-see experience here.
Yeah. Did anything surprise you? You're like, wow, I didn't expect this at all. I didn't think things were going to be like this.
Probably the food. I mean,
Yeah.
the food is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a very picky eater, so to come here and experience kind of the culture and what they eat is amazing.
Yeah. You a fan of the spicy?
Yes, lots of kimchi. I've been eating a lot of kimchi.
All right, cool. Do you think you ever want to live in another country, maybe Korea?
Yeah, I 100% want to live in another country, and I think to be able to have that experience, you have to, because you learn so much. And even in these last 10 days I've been here, it's really broadened my horizons to a different culture, for sure.
Okay. Cool. See you later. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm great. I'm from France.
How long have you been living in Korea?
Now it's been almost 5 months. I arrived at the end of August. I was a student, now I'm in my vacations. I was studying at Yonsei University and I was also doing some part-time job as a dancer sometimes.
Do you think you want to live in Korea like for a long time after this, or do you think after 5 months it's maybe time to go back to France and do something else? Like, what do you want to do?
I think after 5 months, I really want to come back to France.
Yeah.
Because I miss a lot of things. But I think I'm gonna come back here in the future.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place when you're a foreigner to come and spend some time while you don't actually live in the countries.
You think it's a good place to travel?
Yeah, I think definitely. Obviously, it's hard to make friends when there's the language barrier. I didn't learn Korean before and when I was here. If you try to speak English with Korean people, sometimes it's hard, but most of them, they are understanding what you want to say. I managed to have some friends here who are Korean and maybe even sometimes have some dates. That was I wasn't thinking of it before coming, so I think if you're Korean and you are living a daily life as a company worker, it could be really stressful because the mentality here for work is really hard and everyone is working all day. And
Sure.
so I think
You wouldn't want to do that.
I even in France I would not do that, but here it will be even harder.
Yeah.
So I think it's more enjoyable here to work as an artist or something. So that's why as a dancer I would like to do some part of my work here.
Yeah. Do you think it might be hard to find work though as a dancer? Enough to pay rent and buy food and have a car, this kind of thing?
You would have to be like a really great dancer and really well known, but
Are you?
not yet. Maybe if we don't know, maybe in the future, but you would have to be like really well known and really be one of the greatest.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah. I mean, Korea is amazing. I've been in Korea for almost 10 years now.
Wow.
But I will say that it is very competitive here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of smart people here. And people who are very talented too.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you want to do something here, like especially as like a freelancer, you got to be really, really good. Because there's a lot of Koreans who are very skilled in many things.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I saw this a lot. Like in everything that I was doing, I was seeing a lot of talented people.
Oh yeah.
That was making me thinking about it. Also, I have to be one of the greatest to beat them.
Yeah, you
So,
see
yeah.
why there's so much pressure here, right?
That's right. Really competitive.
Yeah.
But I think Korea is a really enjoyable place to have some vacation with your friends. Even if you don't really know the country, I think it's really cool to discover it from scratch. But I think I will definitely come back to spend some time on vacations, or even if it's also some work.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. It was nice talking to
Yeah.
you. Yeah, and I hope you have a great rest of your time in Korea before you go
Thank
back
you
to
very
France.
much. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Why did you choose to come to Korea? Do you think you want to be in Korea for a long time?
I hope so, definitely. I really don't see myself living for a really long time here.
한국말 잘할 수 있어요?
네, 조금 알아요.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So I'm here in Seoul today and I'm asking foreigners on the streets, why did they come to Korea? I'm wondering how are they adjusting to Korea? Are they studying? Are they working? Are they living well here? Are they having difficulty learning Korean? I want to hear their story. I'm sure this will be a very interesting video. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Without further ado, let's begin. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from England.
How long have you been in Korea?
I've been here since August last year.
Okay. So what made you want to come to Korea?
Korean Studies is my degree at my university in England. I'm on my third year at my university in England.
I see.
And for third year, you have to come to Korea for a year to study.
For a year?
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're majoring in Korean studies.
Yes.
What does that mean exactly?
As part of my degree, the core objective is to learn Korean over 4 years, but we also have to partake in cultural modules, so about Korean history and about cultural things as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the goal is to learn Korean within 4 years.
Yes.
That's really ambitious.
Yeah, it's quite ambitious, yes.
And how is the success rate within your major?
Most fourth year students, after we've been in Korea for a year and we've finished our degree in England, have about a topic level 6, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the highest level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really effective, it seems.
Yeah, it's quite intense, yeah.
When you enter the classroom, no English?
Exactly, no English at all.
와, 그럼
Yeah.
한국말 잘하겠네요.
감사합니다.
Hey guys, how's it going? Where are you from?
We're from Switzerland.
Are you living here?
I'm here as an exchange student, yes.
Yeah.
Just visiting.
Okay. How long have you lived here?
It's been about 5 months.
5 months.
I'm staying for 1 year.
I've been here for a week now.
Why come to Korea?
I used to be bullied for listening to K-pop because I started 10 years ago, before the hype started. And then after I finished gymnasium in my gap year, I came here to do a language course, and I just fell in love with the food, the culture, the language, everything.
So that was your first time coming here,
Yes.
and now this is your second time.
No.
Oh, how many times have you been here?
This is the 6th time. That's why I'm broke all the time.
You said you were bullied for liking K-pop.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly?
K-pop is a bright package of a lot of colors and choreography and the outfits and everything. And especially 10 years ago, they looked very different than now. They're very polished. Even the new groups, they look very fancy already. But back then they had a different style, which I personally really like. But I think if people are not familiar with that, it looks really weird to them. They would just call me weirdo, or in Switzerland there's a lot of stigma also for people who watch mangas or animes, the
Just
Japanese.
a nerd, right?
Yeah, so they were oh yeah, she must be one of them. Or just a lot of racist comments oh, are you listening to this Chinese music again, stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yes, it was very annoying.
I was here last summer and I really love it, so I came back. And I love the food, the culture is interesting, and I feel at home, funny enough.
Why aren't you doing what she's doing?
Money.
True story. True story. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
Pretty good. I'm from Australia.
Why did you decide to come to Korea?
Maybe 4 years ago, I met my current girlfriend in Australia. And the reason I met her was I was watching K-drama at the time. I just, on Netflix, and just randomly the recommendation came up. I think it was Kim Bisul. It's Secretary Kim was the K-drama. And I just so interested, just randomly. And then I I was like, oh, I sort of want to learn this language because I was just watching a lot of K-drama. Maybe, you know, it's kind of addictive. So then, yeah, I was looking for a Korean teacher, and my Korean teacher was my now girlfriend, now fiance.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, that's why I want to come to Korea to learn more Korean. So I'm going to like a Yonsei Dehakyo
Nice.
and studying Korean so we can eventually, you know, speak Korean to each other. Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah. Wow, you're fiance now. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Are you here together now?
Yeah, actually, she's in Hongdae at the moment. We're just having quick travel and then I'll go back to Australia.
Is she from Seoul?
Her hometown is Ojeongbu.
우정부. 부대찌개.
부대찌개 많아요. 부대찌개 is 좋아. Yeah.
좋아요. 맛있어요. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from America.
Why'd you come to Korea?
I wanted to study Korean culture and Korean language, and I love K-pop and K-dramas, so I really wanted to learn Korean. So I came here to study.
Nice. So in the US, you're just hanging out, listening to Korean music, watching Korean dramas and movies, and you're like, I want to go to Korea.
Yeah. I also visited Korea in 2022 after I graduated, and I fell in love with the country, and I was like, I want to go back here. So I found a program to study Korean language. So and while studying, you can live in Korea, so you can get exposed to Korean culture and life, and you can learn Korean even better. So
Nice.
that's what I did.
So why is learning to speak Korean well so important?
So important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Why?
Like even now, like my speaking is so bad, and I realized the importance of being able to speak Korean here because everywhere, like you need to be at least at a certain level to be able to like get hired or like get jobs or like, even like opportunities to even work here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to work here and live here?
Yeah, I love this place.
You live in this place? Okay.
I love this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love everything about this place.
Yeah. What do you love?
Like the culture here. Like I hear a lot of different opinions from like many people after I came here, but like what I saw for myself is a bit different from what people have been saying. So I feel like even just now when I was walking out from school, I saw like many banners where people put up to say like, oh, congratulations to this person and that person, and I don't think we have that in Singapore. And they decorate and like created like this. Like you can just put banners anywhere. And
Oh,
it's fine.
really? Okay.
And I feel like it's such a good place to like have like free expression and be creative, and
Yeah.
I think that Korea is very like artistic and creative and fun.
What are you getting here that you're not getting in Singapore?
This this thing. Like I feel like in Singapore we're very rigid. You don't really get to like put your work up there or like do fun things. I mean we can, but like it'll be taken down. But like here you can openly put it up, so it's like interesting. Like so.
My image of Singapore is like very open, advanced, very expensive, very
Expensive, yes.
intelligent people, very cutting edge technology. Which is surprising to hear you say it's a bit more conservative.
But for the art side, there are many rules that we have to follow in Singapore. Like even the art side, it's a really small community, so you don't really get to like do anything that you want.
Hi, I'm from Chile.
How long have you been in Korea?
I've been in Korea already 1 year.
Wow. Why did you originally come to Korea? Why?
First, I came here to study. I'm studying Yonsei University. Well, my main reason is because I got a scholarship. But the purpose of coming here is also because I'm going to study business administration. And I always found Korea a great place to study and learn about business, taking into account the whole Korean history and how they developed the country in such a small amount of time. It was a good option for me. Also, I became interested in Korea like a couple of years ago. So it was just like matching both.
Destiny.
Yeah, I would say so.
Everything came together really well. Got the scholarship.
Yes.
You're studying business. It's a great country to study business. Got it. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Singapore.
Cool. How long have you been in Korea?
About 3 months.
Why did you decide to come to Korea?
So I came to study Korean more for like practicing speaking here, because I do study Korean like in my country in Singapore.
Sure.
But like speaking wise, I don't have people to practice with. So like I thought that coming here would be a good opportunity to like practice my speaking. So I came to Korea to practice.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Barcelona in Spain.
How long have you been in Korea?
So now I've been here for a little bit more than 2 months.
Why did you choose to come to Korea?
I just wanted to learn a new language because I'm studying translation. I had a friend that was very much into K-pop and dramas and everything, and I really didn't know much, but she wanted to move here and I thought, okay, let's try, and here I am.
So you came here with a good friend of yours.
Yeah. She's also from Barcelona.
Okay, is she also doing translation?
No, she's not.
Okay.
But she's also studying Korean.
So you came here, you kind of just followed your friend.
A little, but I did want to move because I've lived in London and also in Canada. So I felt like doing something different from like Europe and America and everything.
The West.
Yeah. I wanted to see how it was to live.
Boring.
Very, very different. I also looked into Japan, but since my friend wanted to go here, I thought, okay, since I don't care, I just want to be in a different place.
Wow.
Like, this is good.
That's a pretty unique reason.
But I'm very happy I came now.
Like, I'm wondering, did anything take you by surprise when you got here? Or as you've been living here that you were not expecting?
Maybe how many Chinese students do I have in my class? Like, I wasn't expecting so many Chinese people to come here to go to university.
Hey guys, how's it going? Where are you from?
We're from Belgium.
How long have you been in Korea?
We came here 2 weeks ago and we will stay for 2 other weeks.
Why did you decide to come to Korea?
I had a friend who's Korean and I helped him learn about his homeland and I fell in love with it. So.
Oh, really cool. Where is he from in Korea?
He was adopted, so he doesn't really know.
Oh, wow. And now he's living in Belgium.
Yeah.
한국말 잘할 수 있어요?
네, 조금 알아요. 미국에서 조금 선생님과 같이 공부했어. 그리고 한국에 와서 지금 연세대학교 학당에 공부해요.
오, 좋아요. 저는 서강대학교에서 공부했어요.
아, 나이스.
실제로 한국에서 살아보니까 어때요?
제가 한국에 들어왔을 때 한국 다양한 한국 문화는 좀 이상했어요. 그래서 지금 한국에서 살다가 보니까 그런 같은 유교 같은
문화.
좀 이상하는데 지금 익숙해졌어.
예를 들어주세요.
제가
Curious.
제가 문신이 많았어요. 그래서
팔에.
네, 다리도. 그래서 제가 한 번은 어떤 할머니가 제 자취 테이블에 우산으로 데린 적이 있었어요.
헐. 네. 근데 사실 요즘 젊은 사람들 중에 태투 많은 사람 있어요.
네, 그러게요. 예, 최근에
옛날보다 많이 그거 오픈됐어요.
그렇게 제 생각에는 많은 한국 사람들이 문신이 범죄와 관련이 있다고 생각해요.
Interesting. Okay. 한국어 공부 시작한 지 얼마나 됐어요?
사실 3년 동안 근데 지금 열심히 해요. Like maybe 3달 해요. 어학당에 공부해요.
I got it.
One semester I study.
There are many phrases that you can catch on that are frequently used, like from K-dramas or like K-pop. It's easy to catch like 뭐라고 or something from the K-dramas. 미쳤어?
Nice.
And like just basic ones like 미안해요, 고마워, and like other stuff like that. But most of them are used in 반말 form, so it's not very well for
bad habits.
Right? Yeah.
After your degree, do you see yourself coming back here to live here in the future?
I hope so, definitely. I want to, get a master's degree and hopefully come to work in the embassy here. So
hey, that's pretty cool.
I think living in Korea is a lot more comfortable than living in England, and
really?
safer and cheaper in certain aspects. So
Where in England?
I'm from the south in Bristol, so it's one of the big cities. So it's quite expensive. So being able to eat out here is quite nice because it's a lot cheaper.
True.
Yeah.
I don't think I would stay in Korea long term, to be honest, because like the work environment and a lot of like political and social issues that I think are a bit better in Switzerland, for example, or of course other countries. I do plan to spend a few years, but not forever.
Honestly, 사실 I love living in Korea because it's so everything is 편해. It's really convenient.
Everything is 편해. Let's go.
편해. Korea is such a lovely place. All the food is so delicious, obviously, and all the people I've met are very friendly. So it's worth coming. Yeah.
Do you think you want to be in Korea for a long time?
I'm not sure. I am going to finish my bachelor degree in like 4 years. And although I have some plans of like staying here and getting a work maybe, I really don't see myself living for like a really long time here.
Why is that?
I think
Be honest.
the culture sometimes can be harsh for foreigners. It doesn't mean it's bad at all.
Sure.
But it has some things that I just cannot like ignore, since my culture is very different.
Kissing? Is that
Yeah,
you do that in
it's a
Chile?
thing. It's a thing in my country. Like the vibe of the whole place. I like that my culture is like very warm with people, and since I cannot find that much here, I don't see myself living for a long time. But that doesn't mean it's a bad place for living.
It's just not your style.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean it's
sure.
bad.
Yeah.
You're okay to say that.
Yeah.
Anything that shocked you when you got here?
Many things.
Okay.
Many things shocked me. The hills here, like so many like hills. Like the first day I came here and I had 2 luggage on my hand, and I had to climb up a huge hill and go down another hill and go up another hill and go down another hill. I'm like, no, like it's crazy. And they don't have lifts in the apartments. Like you have to climb up the stairs like that. That's shocking to me as well.
The older buildings, yeah. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Did you enjoy it? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. That racism in Korea has gotten better over time.
Ooh, racism.
Yes, I think so.
That's a hard question.
I think there's a long way it needs to go still.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. Recently I did a poll on my channel and you guys voted on the topic you wanted to see the most. So today I'm exploring the topic, is South Korea less racist now compared to the past? This was an extremely interesting video and I was so lucky to get a variety of opinions from people from all around the world. Also, because this is a sensitive subject, please be open-minded when watching this video. Please be nice to each other down in the comment section. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Without further ado, let's begin. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
Nice to meet you. My name is Jerry and I'm from Nigeria.
What are you doing in Korea?
I'm a model, but I also create content as well.
Definitely check him out on YouTube. So how long have you been in Korea?
I've been living in Korea now for 7 years.
So you've been here 7 years. Do you think that racism in Korea has gotten better over time?
Ooh. Personally, I haven't experienced any. I would say, like with the influx of foreigners coming to Korea, like over the years, I would say it has gotten better, but a lot of people beg to disagree. There's always this community. Southeast Asians like still get discriminated against. If you try to look at things from, like just a broad perspective, like is it racism or like is it like the person is just ignorant, right, type of thing. So take for instance now, like I'm walking and like a Korean comes, oh my god, like you look amazing, I love your skin. Somebody might find that like being racist. For me, I'm like, I don't know, the person is just, I don't know, curious.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I don't try to like overthink things because
yeah.
I'm also like from a very homogeneous society,
Yeah.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
A white man goes to Nigeria, everybody is like all up in his business. They're touching his hair.
It's just different.
Exactly, because it's just different. Would you call that, like racism?
I love your example. Okay, someone goes to Nigeria, a Korean person, a white person, someone from Russia, wherever, and people are just interested, curious, because they're different.
100%.
Not racism.
Not racism. Needless to say, I'm pretty sure racism still happens, but it's not as bad as, let's say, I don't know, 5-6 years ago before, like how you actually blew up.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia.
When was the first time you came to Korea?
October 2019 to November 2020. The last time I was here, that's when the COVID epidemic happened.
What do you do in Korea, can I ask?
Oh yeah, I'm actually in the military.
Sure.
I'm in logistics. The last time I was here versus here, they're more open, like to people's sexual preference. Like I know Koreans, like they're real, like strict on and conservative on certain things, but like the newer generation, I see that they dress more freely. I don't see people being as judgmental. I would say that they have increased just from the last time I was here. That they're more acceptable, in my personal opinion. Yeah. I haven't had any big major issues.
Experiences,
Yeah. So I would say yeah.
Do you feel like comfortable, welcomed here as a foreigner?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like this is my second time out here, and I was happy to come out here. Even my first experience, like I enjoyed it. So yeah, I definitely would say I haven't had issues. I feel like if you respect the culture and respect the people, that you won't have any issues.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I am from the United States. Yeah, because before there was basically no foreigners, but now that there are, people are getting used to, you know, there's a lot of them out here in Sinchon, so people see them and they get used to them. I mean, maybe there could be a backlash someday of, oh, all these foreigners are, I don't know, taking our jobs, committing crimes. Who knows? Like, you know, the pendulum can swing both ways, but at the moment, I'd say that Korea is very much outward looking and very accepting of other countries and other people.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from the U.S.
Okay, where in the U.S.?
South Carolina.
Has Korean gotten less racist over the years?
I think there's a long way it needs to go still. I was also here 2 years ago for a month. Because of COVID, there were no foreigners, and so it was a way different experience. And so I think for me, my experience was way better this time. People were staring at me less and kind of were more open to knowing where I'm from. And so I think it has gotten a little bit better since COVID has lightened up. But there's still a lot left to go.
It's a great point. Because of COVID, that made people kind of more closed off because it's a dangerous time. You can't really just trust anybody, and you don't know what country they're coming from. Maybe the pandemic is really bad in that country. Yeah. That's an excellent point. Yes. Right. Do you have any examples besides that of like you experiencing anything perhaps racist?
Actually, me and my friends went to a cafe one time because it was raining and we wanted to get out of the rain. And the cafe owner told us that no foreigners were allowed.
Was this recently?
It was like 4 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
is that racist?
I would say so.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very discriminatory at least. You know. So we were definitely shocked by it because I had never experienced anything like that before.
Does it happen a lot?
No, it just happened that one time, thankfully.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Russia.
Do you think Korea is becoming less racist?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Because I can compare.
Yes, tell me.
I was there 4 years ago. I was here. And when I was going like across the street, people were actually staring at me. And they tried to make a photo of me, but secretly. Now it's getting better, but still there are things to fix, I think.
Do you have any examples?
It's, I think, in subway. When you're going to metro and people can like stare at you like this, and they will not be shy. For example, if I can stare to them as well.
Yeah.
And Korean men also can be complicated communication with them because I'm typical Slovenian girl, and they like this kind of girls, but not for something serious.
In terms of dating, it can be difficult.
Yeah. So if for example, if he comes to you and he wants to talk, it will end not like only with talk. It will be one night stand for sure. And for me, it's hard because I want to make friends here, not like relations, but friends, and it's difficult because they see only a picture, not a personality.
Sure. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia in the United States.
Really? I'm from Philadelphia.
Oh, that's crazy.
반갑다. Yeah. What brought you to Korea?
I go to Yonsei Daehagwon, the graduate school for Korean culture and communications.
Cool.
Korean racism and American racism, I think, are really different.
Tell me more.
For example, in Korea, when I'm walking on the trail, there's a lot of older women and they glare at me.
Hiking trail.
Yeah, I go hiking a lot.
Okay.
And also, like, it's very hard to get into an in-group here, but I find that it's easier to get into a group in the US, but the racism is very like overt and like said to your face. Yeah, in the US, I think like you're more likely to hear like a slur, but I will say it's harder to integrate into Korea as a foreigner. There is a subtle feeling of you don't belong, especially with like the older generation.
So it's more subtle here.
Yeah, I think it's subtle, but also it's pointed at different people. One of my good friends, they were trying to sell something on Carrot app.
Okay, yeah.
And the person, when they came and saw that she was African American, they didn't want to take it anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is like pretty strong. I don't fit in here, but I'm white, so I have like more privileges here, I think.
You feel that?
Than she does, yeah. Like when we go around together, etc.
I think it's very important to define what racism is so we just don't throw it out willy-nilly. I'm not saying you are right now, but societally speaking, what is your definition of racism?
I would would say that my definition of racism is like one race thinking that they're superior to another.
That's it.
Yeah. And kind of looking down on other races for that reason.
100%.
Yeah.
Many Southeast Asian people think Koreans look down on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Koreans feel superior to Southeast Asian people. That's what people around you have said to you.
That is the Southeast Asians that I've interviewed. And it's like the word of mouth community, social media, you know, like whenever I just go through, you know, like all the stuff, I'm like, okay, like, so yeah.
You know, to be honest, I feel like racism is one of those words where it's almost so loaded these days that it causes more confusion than it does clarification.
Sure.
Yeah, I think rather than using the word, just talk about what you mean. Like if this happens to me all the time, I walk into a shop and the person sees what I look like and they speak to me in English because they assume I probably don't speak Korean.
Right.
Like, is that racist? They're clearly discriminating about me based on my race, but are they discriminating against me? Like, I think it's fine to acknowledge, like, if I don't look Korean, I'm probably not Korean, and there are probably all sorts of other things that are true about me. But categorically saying this group of people are less valuable or worse than the others, I can't support people who do that.
Yeah, right on. No, I totally agree with you. But yeah, I think them judging you, okay, he probably understands English. Whether he's from France, Germany, even maybe Russia, but obviously the US or UK. I agree, that's probably not racist. And here's the funny thing, 95% of the time, it's true, you don't speak Korean. You said you've been studying Korean for 10 years?
Yeah.
You are a small percentage of people who actually speaks Korean well and lives here. Me too, I've been here for actually 10 years.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Long time.
So I think we're in the minority.
Yeah.
So when these flash judgments are made upon us, we are the small case where it's actually not true. You go to this wonderful new country, let's just say Japan or Myanmar.
Yeah.
And it's famous for their food, the views, the beach, and you're there for a week. You go there, are you happy if they speak English or not?
Yeah, so I mean that's funny. Yeah, if it's in Korea, like I frequently wish the English level was worse. But yeah, but then I think about, if I go to Japan or Thailand, suddenly I'm like, yeah, please speak English to me. So it's just kind of because I'm here.
As a society, like, are we actually getting like a lot more sensitive to like basic things? You know, like just like I said earlier on, like
definitely some of that.
Yeah, you know, like it's a very homogeneous society, and a lot of it like actually comes from being ignorant.
I think there is racism in Korea, but I also think there's just discrimination, kind of like this feeling of wanting to, be their own country and not, welcome in other countries.
Sure.
But I think it is less of a racist issue, more of a just like not being open to inviting other people in.
In terms of the staring, like at the subway or something, is it possible that, maybe Koreans even stare at each other? It's more okay to stare here, especially older people staring at younger people, staring at perhaps like a girl who's wearing a short skirt. Oh, that's wrong, so let's stare at her, right? How is the staring in Russia? Do people stare at other people or not really?
No, I
Never.
don't think so. Yeah, it's not like never. Of course, old people can stare, or if you wear something very different from like usual clothes, okay, they can stare as well. But here it's more about foreigners. So in Russia, people can stare at each other; they don't care.
How do you know it's about foreigners though?
Like if they stare about, I don't know. I have a lot of foreign friends who came to Russia, actually, it's also a little bit different because I'm talking about Moscow. Moscow is the capital, big city like Seoul. But if like foreigner comes to some smaller city, of course people will stare. They would try to do it like secretly. But here they are very open. Like, okay, you're a foreigner, I will stare, and I don't care.
Okay. So another important point is, and I have to say it, Jerry, you are tall, you dress well, you're handsome, you're pretty polite, and you're just overall like a nice guy.
You're amazing, Sean.
But it's true. So I think perhaps the experience you have in Korea might be different from someone who is not as handsome as you, perhaps is shorter, in general, let's just say theoretically, like less attractive than you, Do you think that has an influence on the experience you have in Korea?
That is so true. For a second, I actually forgot about my pretty privilege.
Yeah.
I'm not calling myself pretty, but
he's very handsome. Okay.
I never really thought about that, but like now that I actually brought it up, because like when I was back in Iksan, honestly, like all I got was compliments from young to like old people. And coming out, like to Seoul, yeah, like it's just compliments upon compliments. So like whenever I go out, which is something I'm actually very grateful for. But then like I totally forgot about like pretty privilege. Let's say like someone that is different from me, like
just less attractive. Okay. Let's be real. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone like just less attractive, like not well dressed, not well kept in general. Yeah. I would say their experience might actually like very different. Not only like for as a foreigner, but also like as a Korean, in general. Because honestly, the way you actually dress, is the way you'll be addressed in Korea.
People will treat you differently, is what you're saying.
Very, very different.
Yeah. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm trying to really talk about a real topic here. Yeah. The objectively better looking, taller person is probably going to have an easier time, more advantages, more opportunities, perhaps better results in job interviews, perhaps easier to make friends, easier to get dates. There's so many ways we can categorize people. It's not really accurate or fair to just look at race.
That is so true. That is, I 1000% agree with you.
And I'm not trying to take away from anybody's experience who genuinely did experience some form of discrimination, and I never support that. But I am saying that it's just very complicated.
It's very complicated. Like, there's no one answer to it, and honestly, Korea has just gotten better like over the years. Like when it just comes to like discrimination, like there is what you experienced like many years ago, just 7 years ago, like is not the same experience you're gonna have now. So yeah.
Cheers to that, man.
Yeah, cheers to that.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. What about man is on a long business trip for 3 months and he goes to a prostitute?
If he tells me beforehand, I don't think I'll really be opposed to it, but if he tells me afterwards, it's a bit weird. And if he doesn't tell me at all, I will feel very bad about it. But if he asks me before, like, can I go there, like, do you mind? I don't see an issue, like, I don't really care.
Ah, so there's a difference between just the sex and then actually loving someone.
Yeah, like if it's just because he really needs it, but he tells me beforehand, I don't care.
You wouldn't say, why don't you just look at some images and take care of your business yourself?
If he asks me to go to a prostitute, it's because he thought about it beforehand. So there's no point in kind of changing his mind.
Wow, okay. This is interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So these days, the topic of what is considered cheating is kind of trending. So I got curious and decided to ask people from all around the world what they consider cheating. Is watching a movie with someone else when you already have a romantic partner cheating? How about having a drink? How about flirting with someone at work? How about hiring a prostitute? I asked all of these questions to people from all around the world, and believe me, this was a very interesting video. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Without further ado, let's begin. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Washington State.
Today I'm just talking to people to find out where's the line when it comes to like your romantic partner. What's cheating, what's not cheating. So you have a significant other. Can they drink with another girl, have a drink?
Yeah, they can, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
No worries.
They will consider it cheating if you don't tell your partner. That kind of shows that you don't want to tell them, so maybe there's a reason why.
If they're friends, just friends, it's fine. I don't consider that cheating. But if they go to the girl place or to some hotel or to some private place, for me that's cheating.
Yeah.
Like if you know like you start to behave strange after some drinks, like maybe you should just have one, and that's all.
But if it's maybe with her friends and there's other guys there, then I'll be like, okay, but if it's just one-on-one, definitely not.
They better be friends for 10 years at least.
I really don't care. For me it's normal, I don't care.
You can be drunk and having tons of fun and laugh a lot, and that does not equal cheating.
I had like a bunch of Korean girls telling me that they can't really trust me because I'm French, so they're scared that I'm gonna cheat on them. Yeah, actually.
And do you think that's a fair thing to say or totally unfair?
No, I think it's of course unfair.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the line is kind of shady in France.
What about going to the movie theaters alone with someone else?
If it's a romantic movie, I'll find it weird. But if it's just like an Avengers movie type, I don't care.
When it's one-on-one,
it can be a little bit weird, but if it's like childhood best friends, then you know, like they've been best friends for like a long time, and you're like, oh, they grew up together, so it's like, you know, they're really good friends.
Movie theater is okay, but like at home or, you know.
No Netflix.
Yeah, no Netflix and chill, yeah.
The two of them.
Correct.
I don't think that's cheating, but it's kinda, if I give you 3 lives, okay, you're losing one of them.
If they're like really cool friends, then I think there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's just like some random girl, I wouldn't agree with that.
So drinking at a bar is more okay than going to the cinema.
And in a bar, there's more people, and you're not sitting alone at all.
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't do that with another girl either.
Well, same actually. I don't care. For me, trust is everything.
I don't think I would do it unless it's a girl I know from a long time.
How about dancing with a guy?
I don't know if I'd call it cheating, but I wouldn't like it.
I can imagine, like, you know, like this sexy dance, like, together. Okay, excuse me, but no. Like, I'm your girlfriend. Why you thought she's so close with other girls? Like, no way. It's not cheating, but it's kind of like, you're stupid? Like, come to your sense, bro.
Yeah, and you know what's in the other guy's mind? When,
when
he's dancing with your girlfriend, I wouldn't like it.
Even if she's like a professional salsa dancer?
Oh, if tomorrow my hobby is dancing, I hope my girlfriend allows me to dance with other girls. So same for her, I guess.
Sure.
I think that would depend. Like, if your girlfriend doesn't want to dance at all, that's okay. Like, you can just find someone else to dance. But if your girlfriend is there and you decide to just dance with another girl, it's a bit weird. That's a bit weird.
For example, if you're like dancing salsa or something like that, which is very like a common type of dancing, you wouldn't like look at it that bad.
Yeah.
But I think if it's more like reggaeton type of dancing,
Club booty dance.
Yeah, that type of dancing is a bit more like, I'm not sure if I want you to dance with another person. That
makes sense.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind.
Little booty grinding is okay.
Yeah, I mean, just for like, you know, like have fun in the club with other people, it's okay.
I'm not gonna consider it cheating. No.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's before the line.
Yeah.
What about traveling alone together with another guy?
I wouldn't call it cheating, but I wouldn't like it for sure.
Yeah, same. If it's somebody like she trusts and I can trust, why not? That's not cheating for sure. But same, I wouldn't feel so comfy about it.
Never, ever. Like, don't even ask me. Like, you ask me and you're gonna be die. I mean,
Yeah, I guess that's kind of too much. I don't know.
Definitely not.
Even if they're just friends?
Yeah, definitely not. No chance. You know, people can get closer, especially if they're together, alone a lot of the time. So it's just maybe not necessarily because one of them's not nice or anything like that, but maybe because they can develop a closer connection that way. So it's just because the potential connection's there. That would be why I wouldn't like it.
I do not approve of that. No.
Is that cheating?
No, I wouldn't consider that cheating, but I feel like it can lead up to cheating. Because what's the point of you going to Japan? Why? Just like why?
if you really wanna have fun with someone in a trip, why are you going with your female friend or with this female girl and not with me? Like, I cannot understand it.
Okay, now the spicy question.
Okay.
Your boyfriend's like away for 3 months in another country.
Mhm.
Says, hey, can I just hire a prostitute? Just transaction.
Right.
Done. Get it out of my system. Then I come home to you.
I think that's cheating. That's cheating. Yeah, that's definitely cheating. Yeah. I'm in the military, right? So if I deploy for 9 months, I don't think that gives the right, like, oh, I just need to get off real quick. I don't think that's a right thing. I think that's considered cheating all the way, 110%. And then you're going to pay for it on top of that. So it's just like, no, I don't agree with that.
If he tells me beforehand, I don't think I'll really be opposed to it. But if he tells me afterwards, it's a bit weird. And if he doesn't tell me at all, I will feel very bad about it. But if he asks me before, like, can I go there? Like, do you mind? I don't see an issue. Like, I don't really care.
Ah, so there's a difference between just the sex and then actually loving someone.
Yeah, like if it's just because he really needs it, but he tells me beforehand, I don't care.
You wouldn't say, why don't you just look at some images and take care of your business yourself?
If he asks me to go to a prostitute, it's because he thought about it beforehand. So there's no point in kind of changing his mind.
Wow, okay. This is interesting. Okay.
I know that like, oh no, like prostitution is not, it's not cheating. It is cheating. At least from the way I see it, it is cheating.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely not.
No, I don't know. No, that's kind of too much, I guess.
You know, you can masturbate yourself. Like, why? If you have like problem that you really cannot hold in, okay, then go to see a doctor and get some pills. Because I think everyone can hold it. Like, if you really love someone that is your husband or your boyfriend, then you can hold it. if you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter. And if you cannot, then I think you have just problem, like sexual problem.
But don't you think men and women are a bit different sexually?
Yeah, for that is kind of true. Like I think women, we can stand it more than men. Like men have, of course, more testosterone and more everything. So I accept that it can be harder for men to hold it. But still, I think everyone can hold it at some point.
Definitely.
No. That's a big no, of course.
Big no?
Yeah.
I had this conversation before with a partner. I used to think that's something I would be fine with. Talking about it and like actually thinking about the stuff happening, now I know that no, I can't. It's just, it doesn't make sense. I had it offered to me. Like I was allowed to do it if I wanted to. I didn't. No, that doesn't feel right. That's not me, and I don't like it. Even though I thought I wanted, but no. So now it would be kind of the same. If my partner asked me about that, I would be like, well, if you really, really want to, I don't think I'm into that. So I would better like cut it off.
Sure. Is there a difference between sex and love? What if he's like, oh, we just had sex, but I don't love her at all? Versus he didn't have sex with this girl, but you can clearly see his heart is going towards her.
Okay, then...
Which one's worse?
Well, okay, the second one is worse. If his love is going toward other girl, okay, that's 100% cheating. Now that you say that, yes, that would be also cheating. Like, yeah, but for me it's worse because if you had sex with some other girl, that's, you know, like more like physical stuff. But if it's like you love her, I cannot control your heart. If you had sex with other girl, I can be angry and we can even get some solution like that.
Maybe you can overcome it, maybe.
Maybe I could if I really love you, but I don't want to stop your freedom either. So if your love is to someone else, I'm not gonna stop that. Like I cannot.
And I'm kind of the person that it is sad to say, you do something wrong, I'm gonna do it back. It's not right, but if we're gonna go see past it, I probably have to get my get back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You get your get out of jail free card.
Right, yeah, yeah. There's no like real reason on why you did that. Like there's no like, oh, I was lonely. Okay, we could have FaceTimes. Oh, this, I don't know.
So you get your get out of jail free card and then you do what you do and then is it even?
I think it is gonna be even, but it's gonna always be like
some tension.
Yeah, you might do it again. So.
Trust issue.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Sure.
I've never been cheated on and I've never cheated on, so maybe if
Cheers
that
to
happens,
that, yeah.
I'll change my answers, but for now, no idea.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Relationships are not effortless. You have to put work in.
It's not like, you want to be my girlfriend? Okay,
and it's
we're
just
dating.
Disney movie, right? No, it's
no,
not
you
like
need
that.
to keep.
Sure.
You want this passion to keep going, you know? Like you cannot let it die. The love is gonna be down, and then makes all the sense that the guy or the girl is gonna look to someone else.
What if your partner's like, hey, there's this really cool dude who I really want to learn a lot of stuff from. He's like very smart business-wise, similar to my field of work. I gotta pick his brain. What would be the best way to do that?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because it's a legit scenario, right?
Yeah, of course, because
there could be like a legit expert that like
that
she
you
could
want to
learn
hear more from, but
like a mentor.
Yeah, but I don't want him to keep meeting up in private. Maybe if there's like a group meeting or something, maybe a little bit better, but private meetings, I wouldn't really like that.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.